Okay, folks, back again to this deal, no deal between Trump and the Christian jihadist Putin. Explain that again. We have a group, an elite group. The mastermind, the philosophical mind behind it is Steve Bannon. People who believe in American nationalism, as if there is an American nation and America must only take care of itself and it can prosper like that. That's a philosophy, right? Trump is mentally deficient, has no capacity to think such things. It's Steve Bannon. So what's happening is that Trump is cooperating with Putin and Xi Jinping against the portion of the U.S. elites, or let's say against the Pentagon. Right, the Pentagon absolutely does not want any change of the structure. Since 1962 speech or 1963, I think, from Eisenhower about the military-industrial complex. So we have a civil war in Washington, D.C. about the direction of America. It is not treason. Again, let me reiterate, it is not treason to cooperate with Putin and Xi Jinping against an internal enemy. This is how Washington, D.C. works. That is why lobbying is illegal. That is why decisions in Washington, D.C. are always co-decisions with lobbyists, and the lobbyists are, most often than not, are foreigners. So basically, Tokyo is a decision maker in DC. UAE, United Arab Emirates, are decision makers in DC. Turkey is decision maker in DC. London is co-decision maker in DC, and so on and so forth. Rome is co-decision maker in DC. Even when you have corporations lobbying for their own interests, they are international corporations. They are not U.S. ethnic national corporations. These are multinationals. So even when they influence decision making, they become co-decision makers in DC. They are representing foreign countries. So if, let's say, Microsoft becomes a co-decision maker in a final law, they're not representing the American workers or the American interests. They are representing Microsoft's interests in China, in Russia, in Europe, in Latin America, everywhere in the world. So stop thinking about this imaginary fantasy of the American nation. It is a commercial union. It is Bannon, Trump, and a group of nationalists, and this America First. This is a 1920s, 1930s thing. It's not anything new. So Trump is not committing treason. Like anyone and Bannon are not committing treason. Like anyone in DC, all decisions are co-decisions with foreigners, either through direct government lobbying or through multinational corporations, which indirectly do the lobbying of the foreign governments. Right? So Trump is in a civil war against the Pentagon. He calls them warmongers. He's on the record doing that. Steve Bannon does that on a daily basis. He did it yesterday, before yesterday, so on and so forth. Steve Bannon openly talks about cooperating with Putin against the Pentagon. Again, it is not treason. It is how Washington, D.C. was established to function. And that is how it functions on a daily basis. Right? So The interest of the Pentagon and the Senate behind it is for the wars to never stop at this point. So they want to expand the wars. They have established an industrial military production network with Europe and with Japan and with South Korea to co-produce as much ammunition as possible in order to keep going the war in Ukraine and to expand the wars globally. Why? Because China has moved ahead. The West can no longer catch up with China as far as manufacturing and innovation. But China is very weak on the military side, does not have a global reach. So what they do, China gets together with Russia, which is Xi Jinping and Putin is the one that triggers the West into wars. And finally the West replied. So what do Trump and Bannon do? Right, they sanction Japan, South Korea, and Europe, because these are the ones that are merging with the Pentagon, what I call the F-35ers, to expand more wars, to produce a lot more ammunition, to increase the efficiencies of the production of the military production industry. And Trump keeps delaying the tariffs toward China because he needs Xi Jinping. He needs Putin in his civil war against what I call the F-35ers. And again, it is not treason. It's a pretty normal thing in DC, as I explained. And by the way DC works, the president is just a project manager. A very important position, but not a final decision maker. He's a project manager in chief. So he's trying to stall, to destroy, to do anything within his powers, because outside his powers he no longer can. The courts are stopping it. Two, the Pentagon and the Senate are disregarding it. But nonetheless, the position of project manager in chief is extremely important. So that is what's happening. He wants to give part of Ukraine to Putin so we can focus on destroying what I call the F-35ers, which is the Pentagon, so they can create this America first, this American nation, which doesn't exist. But they want to create it. And again, it's a philosophy. They have the right to do that. It's not the first time. I think it's the third time around at it. Not the first, it's the third one. So this is what's happening. And again, everything is bad. Everything will get worse. No light at the end of the tunnel. There is no hope. The worst is yet to come. More wars coming because the Senate and the Pentagon want more wars, because that is the only way to harm China, and that is the only way for them to retain the current structure, the status quo, if we are to use a diplomatic word. Period. You have a great day.